this world shall know pain.
I know I'll make it look easy.
Alright, let's get this down.
But none of this was easy.
Damn, PC was tripping.
I know it's hard to believe me.
Cause I make it look easy.
I know I make it look easy. But none of this was easy. All the ups and the downs, all the smiles and the frowns wasn't easy. Yeah, I know it's hard to believe me. Cause I make it look easy. How I'm dripping head down, all these fine girls round.
Yeah, let's get it. Having a good morning.
The money just in my line, yeah, I make it look easy. Don't hit my line, I ain't into no freebie. You gon' have to pay if you want my next CD. Yeah, that's how I'm coming. Glock 23, 4, 5, that's how I'm thumping. Skies on, nigga, how I keep this bitch jumping.
We about to get it started.
All she wanna do is humping. Like I know magic turn nothing into something. They got me fucked up, tryna count me out. I'm that nigga they gon' call when the time in doubt. I'm the one you gon' call when you done bluffing. I'ma pull up with the answers, not assumptions. Yeah, they know that I'm the one that get it done, the one that make it come, the one
who was running around here
niggas for fun. The hands too easy, so they run and get it done. But
none of this was easy. I know it's hard to believe me. Cause I make it look easy. I know I make it look easy.
But none of this was easy. All the ups and the downs,
all the smiles and the frowns, oh, it wasn't easy.
Yeah, I know it's hard to believe me.
Cause I make it look easy. How I'm dripping head down, all these fine girls around. Oh, it look easy. Oh, it look easy. All the ups and the downs, smiles and the frowns. And they wasn't around when you were down. It wasn't easy. Alright, let's get it. We watching this documentary today. It's gonna be on Honeycomb Brazy. Alright, most dangerous Alabama rapper. This is Honeycomb Brazy, man. We going over, Alabama. We talking Alabama right here, Mobile. Plenty of ancient blood there. So you got all these dudes coming from Alabama. They connected to a lot of ancient ties. I'm talking about prophet warriors, all type of stuff coming out of Alabama. That's some real tribal land right there. So yeah, we're gonna go over this documentary. Hopefully it's a lot of good history in here that we can discuss and have some insights in. But yeah, most dangerous rapper, Honeycomb Brazy. And I actually like his music. His music really hard. A lot of gutta type shit, but yeah, it's some good music.
If you've seen my channel before, you'll know that I like to study the real stories behind.
And this is on Trap Lord Ross. I actually just kind of found his page, but yeah, I think he released this yesterday? Yeah, yesterday or today? I think. Yeah, 3 hours ago. So yeah, I seen this pop up. I'm like, shoot, I gotta do this one. I already know this one good. I look like. Well, I watched like a minute into the video and I'm like, alright, yeah, this is it. This is the one for today.
Gangster rap and drill music all over the world. From the gun-toting gangsters of Southside Chicago to the knife-wielding drillers on council estates in London, all the way to the savage suburbs of Sweden.
Y'all let me know if the audio is good and everything too. I don't have everything perfect, but working on it. So I think it sounds good. Should be good. I don't want the video to be too loud. Alright, let's go. Let's see what this thing talking about.
Where the gangsters there are literally bombing their ops. But today, we're going to
bombing up. Wait, what? Oh, I need to go check out that one. Oh, I'll check it out that one. They bombing ops. Cut it out, bro. Ain't no way.
Long overlooked when it
you wanna go to war? Alright, I'm gonna blow your shit up tomorrow.
comes to rap music and street culture. Mobile, Alabama. This city in the deep south has a rich and deep history of conflict, all the way back to the Civil War that put a stop.
My family bloodline on my mom's side, we from Alabama. Alabama, Wind Creek, we go back to them Indians over there.
To the booming slave trade in the South. For over 200 years, African Americans living in the South have suffered brutal injustices.
A lot of untold history. You know, it wasn't just slavery. You know, you got Indians, you got you know, you got people that made treaties, all types of stuff. Like my grandfather made a treaty in Alabama. You know what I'm saying? That ended with the Trail of Tears, all type of stuff. But Alabama wasn't just complete slavery. You know, you got the Indians there first before the Trail of Tears and all that stuff.
And discrimination, with the civil rights movement emerging in the 50s and 60s, fighting for the rights of black people living in this historically intolerant area. And while black people are on paper now fully integrated into society in the Deep South, despite being a majority in the city of Mobile, there remains a clear divide between the haves and the have-nots, with the African American community in the state, on average, earning significantly less than other races in the area. And as a result, just like with many other cities,
y'all can see that, but it says
in the USA,
I think
many
the
neighborhoods
blacks are around
occupied
30%
by
or
predominantly
something, and
African
everybody else
Americans
is around
don't
like
receive
60.
the support or investment they need to prosper. This leads to social issues and the formation of gangs who resort to crime to make ends meet and put food on the table. Unfortunately, gang affiliation is often handed down from generation to generation. Many young people.
Yeah, they're doing a lot right here. Gangs is the new family, though. Like, you see that nowadays from all the states. It really don't matter where you at. Gangs is a new family, you know. Get passed down generation to generation. Really not even that far of a generation. It's really like since the crack era, dope era, and all that stuff that these gangs really took off and really started to get passed down from there.
Are born into gang affiliations due to their family or neighborhood ties, being forced into a deadly street war that they never really signed up for. And in Mobile, Alabama, one of these young men, born the son of an infamous gangster, would grow up to be notorious himself, both for his activity in the streets and for his slick and insightful music, painting a picture of the street lifestyle in the Deep South that had rarely been represented in music. Nashon Jones, better known as Honeycomb Brazy, is the most buzzing rapper currently emerging from Mobile, Alabama. His relatively short career in music has been marked by extreme highs and lows, with deadly and violent encounters in the streets, as well as bitter feuds that have spilled into the rap game. Honeycomb Brazy has been in some of the most shocking situations you could imagine, from shooting and paralyzing his own cousin at just age 13, killing a former friend and getting away with it, getting shot 8 times and surviving a coma, and at one point, things got so crazy with Brazy's enemies who were unable to get to him, they would even resort to killing his grandparents, in one of the most brutal incidents of murder I have ever heard in any crime story. But in the midst of it all, Honeycomb Brazy has continued making music and documenting the insane lifestyle that he was born into. From his meteoric rise in the scene in 2018 to long periods spent incarcerated on serious charges stemming from his numerous encounters with the law. Indeed, Brazy lived a serious life of crime before releasing any music, as can be seen from his gallery of mugshots and countless photos from behind bars where he can be seen posing in his best prison fits, still rocking designer clothing in prison. And according to Brazy himself, he spent a whopping half of his life behind bars.
But I was on a 20 split 4 years. I did 4 years, then 3 years, then 2 years, then 1 year, then these 11 months.
Now, Brazy was freed again in late 2023, going on to release numerous songs which hit millions of streams in just the span of a few months, before getting locked up once again at the peak of his career in early 2024. And today, Honeycomb Brazy is still incarcerated. But while he rots away in a cell, in the streets, and online, places like YouTube and social media, millions of fans are obsessed with the story of Alabama's most buzzing gangster rapper. So today, we're going to take a closer look at Honeycomb Brazy and the war in Mobile, Alabama, one of the most dangerous feuds the rap game has ever seen.
Yeah, this one's gonna be a good one. Oh, this one's gonna be a good one, baby. Yeah.
When was the first time you went to jail? What, 12, 13?
Now, like 10 years old.
Alabama is the worst state to live in, according to a CNBC article that lists the 10 worst states based on quality of life category.
What did your mom saying at this time when you're in and out of jail?
Is she in that?
Damn, they said it's the worst state to live in, bro. Like, wow, that's crazy. That's because only a few, I'm not gonna say only a few, but you know, only a few million people stayed there. You know what I'm saying? So everybody else left with the Trail of Tears. Everybody else left because of the racial tension after that, or whatever the case was. You know, people just got the hell up out of the South because it was so bad. So like all these people that just stayed, you know, they just surrounded by racism and they surrounded by lack of opportunities, you know, and then they beefing with each other. They don't got a village with everybody. So, you know, they passing down this gang stuff and all this feuding. So yeah, you got all of that, and then you're surrounded by racism, a system that ain't gonna do you any justice. It's a hard situation. So this dude been locked up. First time you went to jail, 10 years old.
And then your dad is in jail too, so your whole family's kind of dysfunctional.
Yeah. Daddy got a life sentence, he doing life.
Get that money, boy. Look at
Daddy
it,
got a life
cut like an
sentence.
action figure.
They just like a pile of money. Get nephew ready, man. Get nephew ready, man. Get nephew ready, man. Get
You made it now. I'm rich. It's my nephew rich.
You also said
Your nephew ready, bro. He getting ready for the sale. Oh my God.
that you would sign $1 million deal. You'll sign for anything.
Yeah, this nigga, man, it's so much pain on this nigga face. I done been through so much.
Get your dad out of jail. Is that
Hell
real?
yeah, that's real. On blood, that's real.
Traveloid Ross presents.
But see how I gotta be. Hey, these cause you know they might snitch. I be like, the law. I would cooperate for a life sentence. You know I love all my dogs.
That hell to go, you go crazy though.
I do this out the head. These shot me all up in my leg.
Shot me all up in my leg. They want me dead. I came back like fuck the feds.
Want me dead.
Wait. You shot your cousin?
Yeah, yeah.
But what they said?
Like on accident?
I'm on their head.
Like on purpose.
That way.
No, on purpose. What? You shot your cousin? Accident? No, purpose. Hell no.
After their home explodes, family and friends are wondering what happened to Leila and Tony Lewis.
Police confirmed the connection between the couple's grandson.
They hit me up in my back and up in my head, but instead, I'm still living. These want me dead.
Whoa, wait.
They want me dead.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Nah, like on purpose.
That way.
Breaking now, a
No,
gut-wrenching scene
purpose.
in the Happy Hill community. An
That's
elderly couple
wild,
dead
bro.
after their home
mad wild.
explodes. Family
On purpose is mad wild.
and friends are wondering what happened to Leila and Tony Lewis.
Police confirmed the connection between the couple's grandson, local
Yeah,
rapper
this was
Honeycomb
crazy,
Brazy,
bro.
and
They
South
shot up his grandpa's house, caught on fire, and they died. That's crazy, bro. That's the type of beefy in like Alabama shit, bro.
Hall. Police were trying.
They on some real like savagery. Feel me? That real Indian shit. Like they gonna go to war for
Trying to
it.
confirm a previous
Whatever they
beef
spin
between
it.
the two.
You gonna die with them. Little my grandma telling me, oh blood, you gonna die with them.
I can't let up right now. I can't let up. If I let up, I'm gonna make my ops so happy. They gonna be happy if I stop. Nigga spray your grandma's house up. These folks soon them old people house. Nigga don't respect that.
Now, one of the men that's charged now with this murder is Darren Southall, who was sentenced today to 35 years in prison after admitting to running a large-scale drug operation.
Fourth suspect arrested in the murders of Tony and Leila Lewis.
They are the grandparents of rapper Honeycomb Brazy, gunned down in their house and
shot. And how many times do you think your home has been shot at?
For sure, I know it's 3,
That's
but
his
now I
mom.
know it's 4 times.
Darren Southall will be off the streets after entering a plea deal. He faces anywhere from 30 to 35 years behind bars for his crimes.
Why do they keep targeting you?
Because they want my son, Nashawn Jones, dead.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
Okay, I really like this and how it's turning out, and I'm like, all of a sudden, I'm like super inspired.
I heard this and I was.
East South Danger Zone.
Today's story takes place in one of the most notorious cities in the Deep South, the city of Mobile in the state of Alabama. Mobile is known for its key location as the only major city in Alabama with sea access. Therefore, it also has the state's only saltwater port, allowing large ships to enter. Moreover, after an annexation of several communities, which pushed the city's population past 200,000, Mobile is now the second largest city in Alabama after Huntsville, now passing Birmingham and Montgomery. And Mobile is known for its rich history, actually being the oldest city in Alabama, and according to some, it's even the location of the oldest Mardi Gras carnival celebration in America, which allegedly even predates the New Orleans Party Fest. The city, which is now known as Mobile, was founded in 1702 as the first capital of the French Louisiana, and it was then also part of the colonies of Great Britain and Spain before eventually becoming part of Alabama as it became the 22nd state of the United States in 1819. But Alabama, including Mobile, also has a much darker history that is haunted by the shadow of the brutal slave trade. By 1840, Alabama had become the largest cotton producer in America using African-American slave labor, and as the only port town in Alabama, Mobile became the second largest in cotton exporters just after New Orleans, as well as being at one point the home to the largest slave market in the entire Deep South. By the 1860s, almost half of the population of Alabama were slaves, and slave plantations formed the core of Alabama's economy. Even after the US banned the importation of new slaves in 1808, slave ships from the Old World would continue to smuggle in new slaves from Africa through Mobile, and in 1860, the last known international slave ship to America, called Clotilda, arrived in Mobile, smuggling 110 slaves from Africa. This also included the last known living survivors of the transatlantic slave trade in America, Cudjoe Lewis, Sally Smith, real name Rodoshi, and Matilda McCreer, who was actually the last slave to pass away in 1940. After having been freed at the end of the Civil War, about 30 of the former slaves bought by Clotilda, led by Cudjoe Lewis, established a community about 3 miles north of downtown Mobile, which became known as Africatown, which by the 1950s had grown into a 13,000-strong community with numerous black-owned businesses. But unfortunately, the oppression of African Americans didn't end after the Civil War, and by the early 20th century, Alabama had entered the Jim Crow era, where it saw the rise of legal segregation, such as segregated trains and a ban on interracial marriages. In fact, Alabama was the last state to officially repeal the law banning interracial marriage, which shockingly happened only in the year 2000, decades after the Supreme Court had effectively outlawed such bans federally. Even in 2000, only about 59% of the voters would even choose to repeal the ban, meaning that a whopping 40% still voted to keep these segregation laws in the year 2000, which probably says a lot about the community living there, a stark reminder of the racial tensions that remain in this state to this very day. Moreover, much of the segregation in Alabama was not codified in law, but simply customs that everybody in the area knew to follow or face severe consequences.
But predominantly what Jim Crow would have been would be a system of customs. So it didn't need to be encoded in laws for everyone who lived there locally to understand what was acceptable and what wasn't in terms of the racial order. And that racial order actually differed quite a bit in terms of what was acceptable and what wasn't from place to place. And the more regimented that was in terms of culture and custom, actually the fewer laws that you would see. Mississippi and Alabama actually have fewer formal Jim Crow laws than many of the states in the Upper South, in part because it was just so clear to everyone in these communities that this was a fixed order, and you didn't need laws to actually put that into place.
Segregation was also the law of the land in Mobile, where many public spaces like parks were often reserved for white people only, despite the fact that almost half of the population was black at this point. Moreover, predominantly black communities like Africatown were commonly left out of Mobile's infrastructure plans, causing severe health issues, which were later further escalated by the building of large factories that emitted dangerous pollutants into this community. The Africatown community would later be split into various neighborhoods. The ones still being left today are known as Plateau, Magazine, Happy Hills, Kelly Hills, and Lewis Quarters. And unfortunately, these communities are still fighting with the same pollution and health issues that plagued them decades before. During the Second World War, the economy in Mobile was actually booming due to the Navy's shipyards being established along the Mobile Bay. This was a positive development for the town's repressed black population, as there were thousands of free black men and women that were gaining honest employment in these shipyards. President Roosevelt would even sign an executive order prohibiting discrimination in the defense industry, which finally allowed black employees to advance their careers properly. Unfortunately, this would cause many of the white employees to become envious of the black people who were now competing for the same jobs as them, and this would eventually cause huge racial riots as white men would begin violently attacking the minority black employees. Later, during the civil rights movement in the 1960s, Alabama would see the rise of one of the most violent Ku Klux Klan organizations of its time, the United Klans of America, whose members carried out numerous violent attacks in Alabama, such as the so-called 16th Street Baptist Church bombing in Birmingham in 1963 that ended up killing 4 young black girls. In recent decades, Mobile Mobile, like the rest of Alabama, has struggled with relatively high levels of poverty, with the state commonly being amongst the 10 poorest in the nation. And this poverty has affected the black population there particularly, who despite being the clear majority in the city of Mobile, on average are earning by far the least compared to their counterparts of different races. And with high levels of poverty and marginalization, naturally, high crime rates would often follow, and Alabama is no exception to this. For example, the state has ranked amongst the highest in gun violence statistics for years now, and Alabama also had an alarming increase in stats, like the prison homicide rate during the 2010s. And within Alabama, Mobile has the second highest crime rate after Birmingham. In 2023, Forbes would even report that Mobile was the second most dangerous city in the entirety of America. However, this would actually turn out to be based on completely faulty data, with the FBI later backtracking. But anyway, this doesn't change the fact that violent crime, particularly gang-related crime, is a major problem in Mobile.
News 5 investigates Mobile's gang problem and what the city is doing to fight it. Just yesterday, we told you how prosecutors believe the shooting death of 15-year-old Anissa Baker at the Grand Hall was the result of a gang rivalry.
Tonight, we turn our attention once again to the violence in our community. 2 arrests have been made for last night's deadly shooting in Pritchard. Both suspects have been charged with murder.
As they go to get in the car, he reacts to someone across the street and begins firing. As the two exchange gunfire, his friends hit the pavement. It appears as though he's dodging bullets while firing at least 7 shots.
6 people in Mobile have been indicted by a federal grand jury charged with conspiracy to commit murder for hire.
A wild and crazy scene Friday night at a Chevron on Spring Hill Avenue. It all started around 8:30 when you see this woman get out of her car holding a gun and walk over to this burgundy car. She tries talking to someone in the back seat, but the driver starts pulling off. As the car swerves out of the parking lot, you see gunfire coming from the car. If you look closely, you can see where at least 3 bullets hit the concrete, one of them hitting the woman, who starts shooting back before running to her car and speeding off. Customers dropping to the ground, some running inside for cover.
Mobile Police Detective Glenn Barton says the genesis of the March 18th double homicide was an ongoing war between a gang known as 2K Babies, or 2KB, and the South End gang. Cortland Parker, the detective says, was the leader of the 2KB gang and was upset over the killing of his cousin, and a taunting rap video posted online 7 days later.
Well, it has been a violent 72 hours in Mobile. 17 shootings, one
wow, bro, this one no cap be all rapping about.
Says this all started last Tuesday near Dauphin Island Parkway and Military Road when a sheriff's deputy spotted a vehicle matching the description of a kidnapping suspect speeding down towards Johns Lane.
Kevin Levy with Mobile Police says there's an alarming trend of children getting involved in gang activity in the city.
What's alarming is the age of the people who, the young youth who choose to participate. And what happens is you sort of get the snowball effect, right?
And interestingly, considering the uphill battle that African Americans have faced in this historically oppressive state, when it comes to the rap music that young people growing up in Alabama were making to express their experience in the state, the young rappers coming out of Alabama would ultimately struggle to gain relevance in the wider music scene, with some of the very early examples being the late 90s rapper Drama, with his song Left Right Left gaining some national momentum, and into the late noughties, rapper Rich Boy would have a hit song with his track Throw Some D's, blowing up in 2007 around the peak of the so-called Dirty South era, which would later become known as the Dirty Decade.
That's
a period
crazy.
in rap history spanning from the
It's
late 90s
been hard for
to the late
anybody
2000s, saw many rappers from the southern states other than Alabama, like Texas, Georgia, Louisiana, and Memphis, making a significant name for themselves. However, since the late 2000s, when Huntsville, Alabama-based rap collective Slow Motion Sounds and other associated Huntsville rappers like Jackie Chain and the Paper Route Gangsters were making waves in the underground, even getting remixes made by the most famous EDM producer in the world, Diplo. That would lead to artists in the early 2010s like the rapper Doe B from Montgomery, Alabama, gaining national traction before his untimely passing. Then there's also the rapper Yellow Wolf from Gadsden, Alabama, who signed to Eminem's Shady Records label. Now, rappers from Alabama have slowly started gaining more and more momentum, and there's now several people who have garnered considerable popularity coming out of the state in recent years, including names like Rilo Rodriguez, No Cap, Young Blue, Flo Milli, TLE Synchro, and Rai, just to name a few. But ultimately, on the whole, the state has generally been suppressed and isn't really looked at as a hot breeding ground for musical talent, but Honeycomb Brazy might just change that. Anyway, now you know a bit about the environment that shaped Honeycomb Brazy growing up, but to truly understand his story, we've got to also talk about his family and his brutal upbringing that saw him placed in gang-affiliated danger playing with firearms as young as age 13.
Searching for music for your next video? Then you need to check out our
Honeycomb Brazy's family have deep ties to the Mobile gangland that go back decades. Brazy's father, Nashon Barnes, was known as Big Honeycomb or simply Big Comb, and he's by all accounts a well-known figure in the streets of Mobile, Alabama. He had been allegedly involved amongst other crimes in a major cocaine dealing operation in Mobile in the early 2000s, with an eventual indictment revealing a large dope dealing conspiracy that saw Big Honeycomb caught red-handed with 5 kilos of powder. Big Honeycomb was known to allegedly rep the notorious Bounty Hunter Bloods gang. Bounty Hunter Bloods are originally a West Coast-based Bloods gang set with a long history, originating in the infamous Nicholson Gardens public housing project in the Watts neighborhood of LA during the late 60s and early 70s. And famous Bounty Hunter members include rappers such as J-Rock, who's part of the label Top Dog Entertainment, which is known for launching the careers of artists like Kendrick Lamar and Schoolboy Q, and likely taking generous splits. J-Rock is known to rep the original set of the Bounty Hunters from Watts, whereas you've got people like the late Dallas rapper Mo3, who is actually part of the Bounty Hunter Blood set from Dallas, Texas, the gang that he wrecked before his untimely death in 2020. Now, the original LA-based set of the Bounty Hunter Bloods is known for their long-lasting and deadly feud with the Grape Street Crips from the nearby Jordan Downs projects. Both Grape Street Crips and Bounty Hunter Bloods have deep ties to the southern states too, partly due to the fact that many LA gang members actually moved to the south throughout the years, eventually forming their own branches that may or may not have existing ties to the original West Coast branches of the same gang, but also due to more strategically established interstate drug lines in between these different branches of the gang, which allowed these interstate gang sets to work together, bringing in lucrative drugs like methamphetamine from the West Coast to southern states. And those who might have seen my video on the Wolf of Grape Street might remember that this is exactly what the LA rapper O3 Greedo, who was allegedly part of the original Grape Street Crips, was busted for doing in Texas. Now, the gang lineage of the Bounty Hunter Bloods in Mobile, Alabama was clearly passed down to a young Honeycomb Brazy, who took on his father's street name, originally going by the name Honeycomb Jr., something that he would display proudly on early Facebook and YouTube accounts, as well as early mixtapes, and later paying homage to this nickname in a creative song and video called Honeycomb Brazy vs. Honeycomb Jr. Now, Honeycomb Jr. would display his connections to the same gang as his father with a lot of pride, presenting as a Bounty Hunter Blood in public, often repping a red bandana and clothing, and replacing his C's with B's and K's in social media posts.
We own that. You know that black gang forever anyway. Yeah, I'm trying to meet the game. Somebody hit the game up. Tell the gang come for Brazen. He real blooded on guard. he ain't gonna die about it. Yeah, he gonna really die about it. You heard me? Yeah, for real. But yeah, though, that big Sauce Wall, I fuck that Sauce. I fuck Sauce. I think Sauce Bounty Hunter too. I don't know though. I see those, you know, I'm Bounty Hunter. You feel me? But look though, got that with Sauce. Boom. I got it at the gate. I really put all the blood. Like, I ain't gonna lie.
But unfortunately for Honeycomb Jr., Big Honeycomb would end up getting arrested and charged in 2008 for an armed robbery and attempted murder. According to court documents, Big Comb and his partners broke into a man's home masked up during what at first appeared to be a standard home invasion robbery. However, according to the victim, after taking his money, Big Comb would remove his bandana, telling him that he didn't want his money but his life, before stabbing him several times. He and his partners would then attempt to seemingly set the victim on fire with gasoline, but he would manage to escape to the bathroom, where Big Comb would end up shooting him. The victim would then allegedly escape from the house, whilst Big Comb and his accomplices fled the scene. By what seems
no
like
way
a miracle, the
he
victim
made
would
it
actually
out of
end up
that.
surviving this ordeal. But given the brutality of these alleged events, it's no wonder then that the judge would decide to come down hard on Big Comb, giving him a life sentence, with his profile at the correctional facility listing a brutal 999 years, 99 months, and 99 days remaining on his sentence in perpetuity. So without his father to help him navigate the streets, Honeycomb Jr. was left to on the hard streets of Mobile by himself.
You also said that you would sign $1 million deal. You'll sign for anything if you can get your dad out of jail. Is that real?
Yeah, that's real. On blood.
They giving death sentences in Alabama. 999 years. They're fucking crazy. They said, boy, you're gonna be in jail until you freaking rebirth. You go rebirth and wake up in jail again. Like, oh, hell no.
That's real. Hell yeah, why not? Money ain't shit to get.
Big Honeycomb had his most recent parole hearing in 2023, but his request was duly denied, and his next opportunity won't be before 2028, with it not being hopeful that the system will grant him a second chance. Big Comb's chances at parole seem pretty slim due to the fact that the current Alabama chair of the Board of Pardons and Paroles, Lee Gwafney, has actually denied nearly all parole requests since taking charge in 2019, but perhaps due to Big
denied. Oh my God.
Honeycomb's status in the streets, he
Alabama is a cruel state. I wouldn't wish that place on my worst enemy. Good thing my freaking family got the hell up out of there, cause bruh, bruh.
life to the fullest, even
Ain't
behind
no
bars,
way.
as Big Comb would be seen posting pictures on social media where he can be seen wearing diamond
Bruh.
grills, designer clothes, smoking cigars or blunts, and drinking lean.
Bruh
and even
said,
eating
I'm
restaurant-
still living good in prison. Wow. He said, as long as I get to live, fuck it. I'll take that 900. That's crazy, bro. Was it worth it for that home robbery? Like, you did that little skit for that, get 990. Like, what? And you ain't even killed the dude, bro. You just did it all wrong. Like, that's just crazy.
restaurant quality meals, all from prison, leaving fans of Brazy astounded at how somebody is able to live such a lavish life behind bars and also be able to share it with the world on social media. I mean, Big Honeycomb is literally living a more lit life than me while serving life. Unfortunately, with his father out of the picture, Honeycomb Jr. couldn't rely on his mother for support, as his mother, Tanisha Jones, was also in and out of jail throughout his childhood, and she can even be seen to this day repping her alleged blood gang affiliations with her red hair looking like Sexy Red's long-lost auntie. Now, the red hair was actually a trend for many bloods, including Brazy himself.
Honeycomb Brazy dad probably tripping right now because he locked up too. That money ain't probably coming in like it was.
Actually followed at one point.
What is your mom saying at this time when you're in and out of jail?
She in and out.
She in and out.
Both are in and out there. She can't say that.
But the thing is, Brazy's gang ties to the family
his
go
mom
much deeper
going
than
to
just his
jail
parents.
too.
Even Brazy's uncle, known as Gator Q, is allegedly another highly respected
Gator
blood gang
Q.
member. And at one point, Gator and Big Comb would even share a
Cut
jail
it
cell
up
together, where they could be
everywhere.
seen together on videos that were posted to social media, where Big Comb films
That's
them doing their
wild.
daily activities, like working out, with Gator showing his impeccable fit and what seems to be an enormous battle scar in the middle of his stomach.
Already
Get that
killed.
money, man. This how we do in the federal prison right here. Doing day for day in this. Yeah. Gator, I see you, Mobile. Yeah.
I see Mobile.
Uh-huh. Yes, sir. Nice. Uh-huh. Do that, motherfucker. What? 250. Yes, sir.
250.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Honeycomb Brazy, Honeycomb Brazy uncle right here.
They would also show family photos, with Gator at one point saying how he's rich now because his nephew is rich, while showing an old picture of him repping the Blood Gang when he was Honeycomb Jr.'s age, all saying how he's been incarcerated ever since he's been doing this red shit.
Let them know your uncle still standing. And for all the hoes that try to take back on me, we made it now. I'm rich. Cause my nephew rich.
You ain't rich just cause he rich, bro. You say I'm rich. I'm rich now. Hell nah, you ain't rich, dog. You still in that motherfucking cell, locked up for life, bro. Not rich. And Honeycomb now, he locked right back up, and know that money ain't coming in, bro. Y'all struggling up in there.
I know they don't wear this shit no more. I'm gonna show you when I left the street. Been doing the red shit. Down when I was a little. I was your age, little Cole.
That's crazy.
Right here. When I
Glorifying this shit. Look, he's standing on it. Glorifying it.
One love. Real life.
At the end of 2020, Gator would post on his Twitter that he would finally be freed in 2021. But anyway, given the fact that Honeycomb Jr.'s parents were heavily involved in the streets, in and out of jail throughout his childhood, he would wind up being mostly raised by his grandparents from his mother's side of the family. And understandably, Brazy's family life and the gangbanging influence from those he looked up to as a child had a huge lasting impression on him, making him seemingly determined to continue the family's infamous legacy in the streets himself. But unfortunately for Honeycomb Brazy, the extent of his family's activities in the streets meant that he would be growing up in a volatile environment surrounded by firearms and danger, and he would barely be a teenager when he would ultimately find himself squeezing a trigger and changing his life trajectory drastically, beginning a spiral of violence and notoriety that would seemingly follow him for the rest of his life.
That's what happened. Started with that one incident, and man, next thing you knew, it was cursed.
Honeycomb Brazy, full name Nashawn Teran Itez Jones, was born in Mobile, Alabama on the 23rd of February 1995. And despite there being some rumors that he was born in Atlanta, it's Mobile, Alabama on his birth
Jones,
certificate.
that sounds like
At the
some
time of his
Mayan
birth,
shit.
his mother had only just turned 16, and she would post the birth certificate on Facebook with a caption revealing that she had indeed gotten pregnant at just 15 years old. And a young Honeycomb Brazy would seemingly spend much of his childhood in a small house owned by his grandparents, located on Dr. Thomas Avenue in the Happy Hills neighborhood, part of the
15 when she had him. Damn, man. Wouldn't be just having these kids too young. Now you can't be there for them how they really need. You don't even know. You can't have no kid that young, in my opinion. Unless you got the right parents that's teaching you everything you need to know. Ain't no way, man. You got to go through experiences yourself to see, especially like in those years. You want to go through being a teenager and those experiences without having to raise a kid too at the same time. It's hard, right? Go through those experiences by yourself, and then later on you can teach your kid all that stuff that you learn. That's kind of how you want to do it. Having a kid at an early age.
As Brazy raps in his song 223, his upbringing was defined by poverty, with Brazy and his siblings
unless you're brought up in the right
even
family,
to have been literally born in the middle of the street. Moreover, the house was only a stone's throw away from the infamous large public housing project called the Josephine Allen Homes. These projects can even be seen behind a young Brazy in an old family photo likely taken in front of his grandparents' house. Growing up in these projects with hundreds of units and dozens of buildings was Honeycomb Brazy's introduction to the streets and the gang lifestyle, and it was also in these projects where he would end up losing his very first friends to the streets. In 2007, an 18-year-old man named Robert Lucas, known in the streets as Slick Rick, or just Slick, was gunned down by an undercover police officer who had arrived at the Josephine Allen Homes to investigate a call about drug activity. The officer claimed that Slick had pointed a gun at him during a chase, but the Happy Hills locals were outraged, demanding that officer should be fired. After the feds would become involved in the investigation, that officer was eventually found to be not guilty of any wrongdoing. And in a stark example of failing upwards, that officer named Paul Birch would eventually become the new Mobile County Sheriff in 2023. Brazy would later...
hell nah. Bro pulled a quick sacrifice real quick. Ain't no way.
To reminisce on Facebook, calling Slick...
He was on the realest for real, man. R.I.P. Slick. Fuck the police. They shot my 5 times, left him in the street. I love you, big buddy. He told me, make sure me and my straight. No other loyalty. Damn,
the realist and saying F the Mobile police for shooting his friend 5 times and leaving him to die in the street, with commenters agreeing and dissing Paul Birch for the killing. Eventually, in 2011, the city of Mobile decided to close down and demolish the Josephine Allen Homes. However, that demolition would not take place until almost a decade later in 2020, and in June of 2011, when the projects were still inhabited, an intern from the Mobile Youth Survey would keep a blog on her summer job surveying young people in Mobile and discussing the environment around the...
known as gunshot building. So why would you say you're going to take it down but leave it up?
Josephine Allen Homes projects, with these blog posts including long passages all about the shocking amount of gun violence that was witnessed in this area. And at the end of her week in the Happy Hills community, she would actually conclude by writing about the feeling of hopelessness that the youth in this neighborhood were feeling, fearful of them being consumed by the gang life like their older family members had been too. Being raised in such an environment by a family with deep ties to the streets, it didn't take long for a young Honeycomb Brazy to also get involved in the life of crime, and at just age 10, he would get his first major run-in with the law. Brazy and his friends would break into a store to go and ride go-karts and vandalize the place, with these wild childhood activities landing Brazy in trouble with the law very early in his life. Brazy later explained in an interview that he's been on probation ever since this incident, and he wouldn't even make it to high school as a result.
When was the first time you went to jail? What, 12, 13?
No, like 10 years old. Broke in the store, broken room to go, boys.
Rooms to go.
Yeah, I broke in the factory though. They had a factory. I was just riding the golf cart and sitting there whole the little thing, you little fuck. Just having fun for real. Them folk locked my ass up.
You broke in the rooms to go, like just riding go-karts, not really stealing anything, but just having a good time.
Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing?
I'm editing my video with the War 9.
What kind of YouTube videos do you make?
Makeup.
I up too though, knocking over too though. I was up, like busted a snap machine and shit. They're bad as fuck.
Man, you wild as hell, man.
That's why I've been on probation ever since.
Dropping out of school so young likely pushed Brazy even further into the street life, and with his parents constantly being in trouble with the law too, he was left with only his grandparents to try and guide him. In a freestyle on Facebook Live, Brazy would rap about these times, apologizing to his grandmother for dropping out of school, where he rapped, "I did this for you, grandmama, and I know you mad I ain't make it through school, grandmama, and I'm mad I ain't make it through too." Unfortunately, for his young son, in 2008, Brazy's father, Big Comb, would catch the case that would take him out of the streets for good. But according to Honeycomb Jr., this wouldn't necessarily stop his street activities, as Big Comb would allegedly appoint trusted members on the outside to tend to his business whilst he was behind the wall, and one of these trusted enforcers was Brazy's cousin. Around this time, Honeycomb Brazy was also sometimes living with his aunties and their families from both his mother's and his father's sides, finally giving him a chance to be part of a more normal family dynamic. But unfortunately, this wouldn't last long, because soon after his father had gone to prison for good, he would allegedly send a barely teenage Honeycomb Brazy on a dangerous mission that would almost end up destroying his life and the life of his cousin too.
But like I would stay with my mama though. I stay with my Aunt Tony, you know. But that shoot to my Aunt Nisha house sometime. But I end up shooting her son. That was my cousin, so You know, they all type of shit going on.
Whoa, wait. You shot your cousin?
Yeah, yeah.
Like on accident?
Nah, like on purpose.
After catching serious charges, still from behind bars, Big Home would allegedly keep doing business in the streets.
No, like on purpose?
That would be run on a street level by his closest confidants. One of them being Brazy's cousin, whose mother's house Honeycomb Jr. was sometimes living in. Unfortunately, Big Honeycomb would eventually notice that some money had come up missing, leading him to believe that someone within his operation must have been stealing from the pot, with Big Home's suspicions falling on his nephew, Brazy's cousin.
Was it like a family, or like was it an argument? Like, can you take us through that situation?
Nah, that was like him and my dad, some shit with him and my dad, you know. He had got down, some money came up missing. I'm just gonna say that. Some money came up missing there with my dad. You know, he was locked up. You know, they gave him life and shit, so I was tripping already. When he rent that to me, you know, I had with the whoop.
Big Honeycomb seemingly wanted his 13-year-old son, Honeycomb Jr., to go and handle this dispute over the drug debt with his own cousin, who he was at least sometimes living with. That cousin and Brazy's aunt lived in Plateau, another one of the older Africatown communities located across an interstate that runs through them. And so, on the instruction of his father Big Comb, a 13-year-old Honeycomb Brazy and his friends from the Happy Hills would make their way to Plateau, where he would end up confronting his cousin, shooting him, leaving him seriously injured and ultimately paralyzed.
I was like 13 years old. Like, Pop been gone there since I was like 12 for real when he left. But I was 13 years old when I took the hit for him. And you know, the streets know about that I ended up paralyzing my cousin. About that right there. You know, paralyzed my own cousin. Took a hit from my pop. 13 years old, I took a hit from my pops, man. On dick, on blood, man. That's how I ended up going to prison when I was 15 years old. Y'all want to know the story? Wait till my dad to get on here and tell y'all. That's how I went to prison when I was 15 years old. Man, I took a hit from my pops, man.
That's crazy,
took
bro.
A hit from my dad.
Why you do that?
Y'all never did no shit like that. You 13 years old, your daddy hit you up here in jail. Man, they trying to give me life, man. They trying to give me life. They whoop. Get it rent off, whoop. He wet. Man, for real, man, yeah, man. I'm telling you, man. You know, man, little one, man. Little one. I'm 13 years old. Did I go spin? Like the way.
After shooting his cousin, Brazy obviously couldn't just return back home to either his grandparents or auntie's cribs. And to make matters even worse, the family from his dad's side were now furious with him, with his own grandmother hoping for his death.
Yeah, my grandma, man. My grandma told me on dead. Then my dad and mama. I'm like, what up? I hit them or they blow my phone. I'm like, what's up, Granny? You gonna die with them. You gonna die with them. My grandma telling me, oh, blood, you gonna die with them, man. Cause I had some happy hair with me when I did it, you feel me? But like, they ain't shooting nothing like that. They didn't have no gun. But they was just right there when that happened. You know, my cousin from Plateau, I'm from Happy Hill. That shit right across the street from each other, you know? So we did it. We shot back to Happy Hill. When I did it, you know, I did it from everybody though. You know, Pop said run it. So, you know, you guys do it. You know, just do it. You know, it's done. You know, I really does it.
So, with the police and his own family after him, Honeycomb Brazy would have to lay low, and at only age 13, he went on the run, actually managing to stay hidden for several months, until he was eventually found and charged at just age 14, leading to a 3-year sentence at the Strickland Youth Center.
Now, I get locked up when I'm 14. I went on the run. They caught me when I was like 14. I got out when I was goddamn turning 17. I was like 16 when I got out. And I was turning 17.
However, Brazy, many years on from this incident, would actually show remorse for his actions, later revealing that he doesn't have anything against his cousin and that he would have handled things completely differently today.
I was young then though. Like right now, I don't know if I still do that again. Cause I still fuck with Buzz. It was just a misunderstanding, but you know, I would have thought better about it, but I was young. Then my dad was telling me to run it. So you know, dad is telling me to run it, you know, finna run it. You know how that go. So I read that bit though.
And Brazy's also talked about this incident in his music. For example, in the song Gucci Flow, Brazy mentions taking a hit for his dad and paralyzing his own blood, as well as claiming that he was actually charged as an adult, although he was only 15 years old at the time of the sentencing. Brazy would also mention the incident in his first and biggest hit song, Freestyle, where he mentions his grandma being in tears due to his actions, as well as people calling his phone and telling him what he did was wrong. Thankfully, his cousin has now made a full recovery and can even walk again, and Brazy has apparently even rekindled his relationship with his cousin, explaining how he used to look up to him when he was younger and how his dad treated the cousin like he was his son and Honeycomb Jr. like he was the nephew.
Well, now he back now though. He back walking. He's straight. We straight now though. You know, we cool.
Okay, so you shoot your cousin. he gets paralyzed. What is your relationship like afterwards?
He came, I ain't gonna, I f with him, he, you know, we straight, you know, cause I used to look up to him when I was young, you feel me? Like, I used to look up to him, like, my daddy put him on type, you know? He was like, my daddy treated him like that was his son, you know, and I was like the nephew for real.
Before reaching the age of 17, Honeycomb Brazy had already experienced a long bit in jail and several years on probation, and at this point he was clearly desensitized to violence and completely unafraid of prison, with this setting a dangerous precedent in his life for the years that followed. And after returning home to the Happy Hills neighborhood with his grandparents Tony and Sheila Lewis, Brazy would continue his reckless lifestyle, catching yet another very serious case soon after this.
I was just gonna say, I think he shot his best friend
Want
too
to
or
become an
something.
amazing content creator? You should use Motion Arrays, templates, motion
Smashing
graphics,
his girls,
presets.
bro was violent. Yeah.
According to the news reports, on December the 12th, 2011, Brazy and his right-hand Dietrich Thomas, known to his friends as Det, were walking on the 800 block of Center Street. However, the reports don't specify which Center Street this is, as there's several of these in Mobile, including one in Plateau, which would indeed be the closest location to Brazy's grandparents' house. Anyway, at around 5:45 p.m, the pair would approach a man walking on the same street, stopping to talk with him until one of them pulled out his pistol and shot the man in the leg. Brazy then allegedly ran through the man's pockets, taking his money before the duo fled the scene. And not long after this, police would arrest Brazy at his home, charging him for the shooting and the robbery. Interestingly, even at just age 16, the news would mention him by his street nickname, Little Honeycomb, which really highlights just how much notoriety Honeycomb Brazy and his family had garnered amongst the Mobile police at this point. In his
They already knew.
Brazy actually claimed that he wasn't the shooter, but he wound up taking the charge for his friend.
They already knew his ass did the crime, bro. Little Honeycomb. Yeah, the one, big Honeycomb. Help. Yeah, infamous crime family. Go ahead, lock him up.
16 when I got out, then I was turning 17.
Oh my
God.
God.
No, I ain't get locked up for the murder then. I got locked up for a robbery and attempted murder. But I ain't even do that though. My partner did. His name Det. He did it. But I just took the case for him though.
And Brazy would further expand on the situation during one of his many Instagram lives, again claiming that Det was the shooter and that he just happened to be there, whilst also explaining how the victim had never seen Det before but knew Brazy and therefore told the police it was him. Brazy would then end up keeping his mouth shut, ultimately going down for the crime.
But Det had wet ass up, raw, and I was there right there when it happened. And they didn't know who Det was, knew me, so they pit the folks on me by that mouth. I know that attempted murder in the robbery first, and I'm on the run and shot a got me assault charge. So now I'm in it like, man, damn. They want me to tell. I can't tell. So get what? I took 20 split 4.
But 3 months after the incident, on March the 4th, Brazy was set to appear in court. And on that very same day, Det was playing dice on the porch of 940 Semler Street, right on the border of their Happy Hills community and the city of Pritchard. At some point, Det and a 40-year-old man named Anthony Jenkins had allegedly fallen out over a mere $5 bet, which would tragically escalate into Jenkins shooting Det in the head, killing Det at only 17 years old. Det's death would cause deep tensions in the neighborhood, which according to the police would lead to shots being fired back and forth between the families of Det and Jenkins, even requiring police to protect Det's funeral. Now, Jenkins had a track record of criminal behavior, such as robbery, but shockingly, after he surrendered to the police on the 8th of April 2012, he would soon get out on bail with bond set at a mere $50,000 on this serious charge of murder. There was also seemingly no rush on a trial date, as Jenkins was able to walk the streets freely for another 2 years until he was caught for yet another crime, this time possession of the so-called synthetic cannabis called Spice. However, even after that, he was still reportedly given a new bond again months before his trial finally began in 2015. And the news would also report that Jenkins, whose life in prison, had actually been offered a plea deal of a 20.
He ain't belling out. He telling and belling. Yeah. He telling belling, boy.
Year sentence if he pled guilty to the charge of manslaughter, but he would reject this deal, opting to take things to trial in the face of a possible life sentence. And this would seemingly end up working greatly in his favor. Now, I haven't been able to find any concrete evidence of the outcome of that trial, but based on social media activity, it appears that today Jenkins is still a free man working an honest living. And even more shockingly, in December 2023, when Honeycomb Brazy was facing his latest run-in with law enforcement, despite being the person who had killed his best friend, Jenkins would post this on his Facebook, commenting that he didn't wish death or jail on anybody. body, as well as directly stating, "Free the young'un, Lil Comb, Brazy." But regardless of the alleged killer ultimately paying homage to Honeycomb Brazy, Brazy would later reflect on losing his close friend during an Instagram Live, clearly hurt by the fact that he was unable to be there for him, as well as likely being haunted by the fact that if Det had been charged with the robbery that they did together, he might still be alive this day.
Soon I took the deal, Det get killed. That's why I long live Det forever, like LD long live Det. Soon I take the case for Det, he get whacked the same day. Soon I go to court, he get killed the same day I take the case.
To this day, Brazy pays respect to his friend and can often be heard saying on Det, writing LLD for Long Live Det on social media. Brazy has also mentioned Det in numerous songs, like his Jail Freestyle, a remix of Future's Perky's Callin', where Brazy raps how he can hear Det calling instead. While serving his time, Honeycomb Brazy would actually say that once he was free, he would dedicate himself to rapping in Det's memory. And he would seemingly also begin to mention a new crew or set that he would be carrying on Det's legacy under, naming his crew RN4L, meaning Real N-Word for Life. Around the time of Brazy's imprisonment, he and his friends would begin to rep the RN4L moniker, and besides Brazy, this crew would seemingly include original people close to Brazy, many of whom were also incarcerated, such as Duke Gotti, or Dugotti, another aspiring rapper at the time, who was also seemingly serving a sentence despite his young age, with videos of him rapping in jail surrounded by goons circulating online. Since then, RN4L has grown into a rather large set, as can be seen on social media posts, where Brazy can be seen proudly showing off his crew, who have the RN4L letters tatted on their necks, arms, and even faces, all while they can be seen toting heavy weaponry such as automatic rifles and FN pistols.
Yeah, man, a whole bunch of RN4L going on, man. Y'all know it, man. It's real deal gang related, man. Don't be stupid. Go shit everywhere. Y'all know the whole game that went out. Y'all RN4L. Y'all bitch don't be RN4L. I don't know going on. Whole bunch of it. Oh, they taught, man. Y'all know number 9, man. Stop playing, man. All on the face with this RN4L for real. Look.
That's crazy.
Going on, man. RFWS, I'm gonna take over this. Y'all know this for real, man. We stepping on. Yeah.
RN4L is also the name of Brazy's own record label that he's used to officially publish music, since his first hit song Freestyle in 2018, whilst partnering with different distributors on different songs. The moniker RN4L, or Real N-Word for Life, is actually commonly used in a lot of rap songs. For example, Rondo No. 9 from Chicago, who I recently covered extensively in my 6-hour documentary on his gang set 600, would famously drop a mixtape series with the same moniker, and Lil Durk also has a song named RN4L devoted to Rondo, after Rondo would receive a long prison sentence for the murder of an innocent taxi driver. But anyways, creating a new set was, in the grand scheme of things, just another example that despite his troubles with the law, Brazy was getting increasingly sucked into the street lifestyle. And when he was finally released in early 2016, Brazy was unfortunately incapable of staying out of trouble, because almost immediately after being released, he would catch yet another case, and this time the charge was much, much more serious.
So I do them years, I get back out. When I step out, I stay out like a month and 15 days. No exaggerating on Black Gang, did no lie. I stay out a month and 15 days, I catch a murder charge. Boom.
If you don't know how to make chords, this is it. Congratulations. The chords are already made for you.
And we can drag one of these chords.
After getting out of prison, Brazy would begin to showcase his growing rap skills, often freestyling for the camera wherever he was. Unfortunately, he was also deep in the streets and in an environment where anything could go down at any moment, and sadly, that's exactly what would happen. After being out of prison for about a month or so, on the night of February the 21st, 2016, at approximately 8 PM, Brazy would go to an apartment complex called the Woodlands Apartments in Pritchard, just about a 10-minute drive from Happy Hills, to visit a female friend named
Chickasaw.
According to Brazy, he was there simply to serve her some weed, but the girl was also the girlfriend of his friend Stank, real name Ladarius Mora. Stank, who also went by the nickname Gunner, was very popular in Mobile and respected by many due to his family's prominence in the area. Just like Brazy had his father Big Honeycomb, Stank's family also allegedly had some members with serious connections to the Mobile underworld and were known for getting money in the streets, as can be seen on numerous pictures on social media where Stank himself can be seen flexing big stacks of cash and posting openly on Facebook that his trap house was doing numbers and attracting the attention of the police. Stank had also been close with Brazy's fallen friend Det and could be seen posting with his clique wearing shirts in his honor after Det's death. Whilst Brazy was allegedly inside the girl's home, Stank allegedly arrived at the premises to speak to Raisha after the couple had seemingly had a falling out. However, allegedly, she wasn't interested in talking to Stank and wouldn't let him inside the house, making things look increasingly dicey for Honeycomb Brazy, who was still in the home at this point. At this point, an enraged Stank, who now believed his friend was inside the house with his girlfriend doing the unthinkable, things would keep escalating, as Stank would eventually force himself into the house by kicking down the door. Understandably, an enraged Stank at this point had a hard time believing that Brazy was just there to sell her some weed, and the two would get into a fight. And it was at this point that Brazy would up his gun, shooting Stank and killing him. Unfortunately, Stank didn't only leave behind a grieving family, but also a small child, as his cousin would tell the news.
Very heartbreaking saying that he has a small child who now would never know who his father is.
The cousin would also tell that there was an exchange of words between Stank and another person before the other person reacted some way, causing the shooting. And this person was known to have a violent background.
There was another individual that was there, and there was an exchange of words, and the other individual reacted, which caused to the shooting. The person who alleged did the act is a person that already has a violent history.
Police would comment that they hadn't yet arrested anyone, but they had a person of interest who would indeed turn out to be Honeycomb Brazy.
We won't say whether he was inside the residence at that time or he just showed up on the scene. But we do have a person of interest at this time.
Now, Brazy's talked about this case on numerous occasions and would even at one point record a jail freestyle called True Story, which was later made into a real song, where he talks about this incident at length, essentially doing King Von's crazy story concept before Von even did it, rapping in the song about how he went to sell Raisha a pack and ended up kicking it with her having a smoke when Stank turned up, elaborating that he grabbed his gun when he heard banging at the door and at the same time got a phone call from a friend who was actually close with Stank, with Brazy telling the friend that nothing had been happening between them, but Brazy would go on to claim that when Stank kicked the door, he slipped his handgun safety off and prayed that Stank didn't break through, with Brazy ultimately concluding that despite growing up with Stank, he wouldn't allow him to kill him over a girl, and Brazy felt he ultimately had to kill Stank in self-defense. Ultimately, Brazy would indeed end up beating the charges for Stank's murder, as he was found by the authorities to have indeed acted in self-defense, with Brazy even explaining during a live how he's still cool with some of Stank's brothers, whilst others want him dead.
I didn't look, man, I didn't kill brothers in real life, locked up for murder, killing your brother, and still his brother's brothers. You see what I'm saying? Like, this real life, this is my, I still with the brothers I killed. Like, we still hang around each other. And you think they other brother don't even like me, he want to do something to me. But you think I be around the brothers who I killed, like, they got the same dad, everybody sit something on and I run with them. You think they'll be around me if I'm fake? Like, now you killed our brother, we still with you. I'm really a real nigga, bro. I'm really like that. I'm telling you, I'm really silent. Like, I'm really silent in real life, bro. Like, real talk. Now, this ain't no wrong word for lie. This in black and white. I caught this murder case. This in black and white. You feel? Kick the door in on me. And I had to handle my business. And I had got self-defense for it. I got self-defense for this. And, you know, did what their war started about. Did what all this really struck up about their war. Did what they had. Grandma and granddaddy did. But all this. Like, yeah.
He would also speak about the matter in his first interview after getting released in 2023, saying that he loved Stank and he would take it all back if he could.
Yeah, my partner, I love my partner. He just tripped that day, you feel me? It ain't nothing like that. You know, if I could take it back, I'd take it back. But you know how I get. Ain't down by no feel me? I ain't never doing no count.
So you ain't even hit, you was just telling her, you know what I'm saying? You was just in the house type shit.
Yeah, about grandma, granddad, I ain't never on my dead little brother Myron, never you feel me? Really silent. It's just that how that happened.
However, despite feeling bad about the incident and ultimately getting away with it without legal consequences, this incident would set into motion a host of tragic events that would forever change Brazy's life. Because after the investigation deemed Brazy as the person of interest in the killing of Stank, he would choose not to fight the charges, but do what he's been doing since he caught his first charge at 13, go on the run. And 3 days after the death of Stank, Brazy's good friend Duke posted a video on his Facebook where Brazy can be seen commenting on what had happened, telling Duke not to trust women before saying, "I can't let no jam me up," and leaving the car.
They'll do it in time, boy. I can't let no jam me up though, bro. I can't go for it. If I go for it, I mean, it ain't right, bro. And if they do get me, gonna be some real already.
In the comments of the video, Duke and another friend can also be seen discussing what had happened, both seemingly being understanding to Brazy despite having also been friends with Stank. However, not everyone would be as understanding, because also in the comments of the video would be one of Stank's brothers, who was clearly not interested in lending any sympathy to Brazy, saying F him. Indeed, this time Brazy wouldn't just have the police after him, but also Stank's family, particularly one person from his father's side, Stank's uncle, Darren D.D. Southall, who was known in the streets of Mobile as the kingpin of one of Alabama's biggest drug trafficking organizations. And while Brazy and D.D. had seemingly been on good terms in the past, the death of Stank would ignite a deadly war between the two that would ultimately end up unleashing a wave of violence all across Alabama. Darren D.D. Southall is not your ordinary Mobile gangster. This is no small-time drug dealer, because at his height, he allegedly ran a massive empire worth tens of millions of dollars, transporting thousands of kilograms of Class A dope to smaller distributors across the Gulf Coast. And according to law enforcement, Southall's drug empire was active at least from 2016 until early 2021, when he and his organization were finally busted. And during the investigation into Southall Southall and his co-conspirators, law enforcement would intercept a call between Southall and his supplier in Texas, where he would claim to distribute 100 kilos of cocaine every single month. With deliveries landing as regular as clockwork, this was a reliable drug line believed to be netting $3 million in cash per month, with investigators seizing approximately $2.2 million in cash during one bust. After getting arrested and indicted, D.D. Southall would eventually agree to a plea agreement that made him accountable for 4,000 kilos of cocaine, 24 kilos of heroin, and 2 kilos of fentanyl, totaling to about $24 million in drug proceeds. However, Southall's journey to the top of the dope game hadn't been the most typical. In fact, it was believed that he climbed to the top of the drug economy in Mobile largely by snitching on all of his competition, with these snitching allegations on D.D. Southall going back decades to at least the late 90s and early 2000s, essentially almost as far back as his criminal record.
Southall has a long criminal history dating back to the 1990s. Several charges stemmed from possession of cocaine. Southall is also accused of being a drug ringleader in a multi-state, multi-million-dollar drug organization.
For example, in 2003, Southall was part of a case against a fellow drug dealer, Leroy Jackson, who was also the owner of a Mobile-based record label, Gorilla Records, with artists like C. Nile, who was also affiliated with the legendary Screwed Up Clique from Houston, Texas. During the trial, Southall testified that he had been buying crack from Jackson 2 or 3 times a week from 1999 until 2001, when Jackson went to prison. In 2013, in another case against a dirty cop named Edmund Burke, Southall would allegedly knowingly help arrange a deal between Burke and his cousin and an undercover cop, which would lead to Burke's arrest and conviction. In one flabbergasting video, a now older Southall can be seen proudly proclaiming that I ain't on no police no more, I ain't got nobody left to roll on, I got the city in a chokehold, essentially admitting that he snitched so much that he has no more competition left in the city.
I ain't got nobody to roll on. I got to sit in a chokehold.
This video will be posted to Instagram by the rapper.
I got the city in a chokehold. Bro, they told on everybody a cook. I got the city in a chokehold. That nigga bragging about snitching. Oh my gosh.
And undisputed Jug King of Atlanta, Young Scooter, who himself seemed dumbfounded by this admission, writing the caption, "This is what the street's coming to. The streets are on life support." He said he got the whole city of Mobile. Brazy, who at this time was beginning to pick up steam as a rapper, would comment on the video using a lyric from his song Gucci Flow, where he disses Southall by saying, "How the biggest rat in the city got some bricks on my head." This was a dangerous rival, and it would mean that Brazy would need to look out for both violence and snitching from the very same op. Indeed, while Southall had seemingly got
you gotta look out for both. Oh, he's
with the help of
sicko.
Mobile police, he was no stranger to using violence to get his way too. In 2012,
one
he was actually
eye
charged
now,
with alleged murder after he allegedly shot a man in a restaurant after a fight.
I look down there close. Ain't no way.
This incident occurred at the Cozy Brown's Kitchen in Pritchard, Alabama, a mere 3 minutes drive from the Woodlands apartments, where Brazy actually ended up killing Stank. Now, Southall was after Brazy, and he would do everything in his power to get his revenge. However, if Brazy's enemies wanted him, they would have to get there before the authorities did.
Oh, that's when you get crazy. You about to be calling in. Time is almost up for the part 1 of
the
this
police would eventually
series.
catch up with Honeycomb Brazy while he was on the run.
1
He
hour
was ultimately
in,
apprehended
not to
and
call
charged
it.
with the murder of his friend Stank, landing him back in jail while he awaited trial. He would later explain to his fans how he had still been active in the streets during his time on the run, and how his ops, likely D.D. Southall's shooters, were on his heels trying to kill him. However, he also alleges that once they found out his location, they sent the police on him rather than sliding themselves.
Catch the murder charge. I'm on the run with that firearm on me. I'm on the run with the stick because I'm still at smoke while I'm on the run for the murder. Still out here trying to kill me. We still spinning. I'm still spinning while I'm on the run for a murder. I end up getting locked up. Find out where I'm at. They put the law on me instead of coming to span. They put the law on my house. Caught me in theater. Locked me up there. Boom.
However, at this point, Brazy was used to jail, and he would seemingly live relatively good behind bars, commonly posting pics of himself on social media, holding stacks of cash, eating good, and rocking designer clothes, just like his father had famously done years before him, as well as going live, showing him and his partners living their best life in jail, doing their everyday activities like lifting weights.
Man, it's too much pressure, man.
Niggas out there working.
Oh, so. Time for it, man. Man, we grinding for this, man. We grinding for this. Hold the camera, hey, let me tell you.
That's what bro doing.
Fuck that whole nephew. This every day workout plan, break a jaw. Break a jaw. Don't try me.
Don't try me. On my mom, we really grinding. Like, we really out here doing it, man. On my mom, we really out here doing it. Hey, you gotta stand up. I'm so scared of y'all. You win yet, cuz? Yeah. Grind in. Grind in. On some. Y'all don't get this through now.
Niggas really got cell phones and
still grinding. 56 years old, still grinding. Get out of the anything 35 and up, see bust.
All right. That's gonna be it for part 1. We 15 minutes in, a whole hour in. It's been a good little live stream for that.